My name is Lillian Dunn, and I am an artist with the Circle Keepers Collective, which is a project within Rosine 2.0. My artistic process is fueled by relationships. Um, so much of the work that I do is relational. It comes from an invitation from somebody I meet, from a friend who's doing something really amazing and I want to get in on it, from my relationship with myself and something that I need and I want to give myself. And then in the last few years, which is part of how I met my collaborator, Falami Irvine, it's come from opening up a relationship with non-human beings and specifically the plants that grow in Philadelphia, and being curious about who they are and getting to know about them. I give from fun, I think. I in my other life, I work as a psychotherapist, and in order to do work that reckons with really hard stuff, I think it is important to have a connection, or to preserve and nourish a connection with fun and play and joy. Sometimes easier said than done, and I think that for me, listening to the part of myself that's really young and that likes sparkly things and likes to go on the swings is often a place I can go back and reconnect and nourish even when things feel really hard. And I think that's also a place, like when I was little, I was the kid who was like, hey, everybody in the neighborhood, we're going to put on a play, and like you need to, like, let's get all the costumes together, and like, you know, that was where I played. And so I think that where I give is often from, where I give from is like wanting to play with people that are cool. Collective practice is important because it gives you the experience of creating something that you never could have come up with by yourself in a gajillion years. And that is one of the really wonderful things about art making and community. It is such a pleasure, like it's already happening within this project, to have an idea and then have somebody else bring an idea and then even be like, I don't know if I like that, but okay, and then do it and be like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. And then see how things kind of unfold in this unpredictable way from there. And the really beautiful thing is collective practice often ends up holding the people within it as they do it. And so I think already within our project, we've each had moments where the members of our collective have been going through different things, and we've been able to support each other and flow between those places. And it's been very tender, and it's been a really different and fun way of working, to work with a slightly larger collective for an extended period of time for me. Our project, the Circle Keepers project, comes from my collaborator Falami's question, who's healing the healers? And we're, in this phase of the project, we're inviting people who identify as healers and helpers, or who play those roles in both like professional and also very much non-professional ways in their lives, to come together and share how they've been over the last few years and what they have needed, what has helped them, what's missing. And one of the things that can happen in a group that can't happen alone is finding commonality, hearing somebody go through something really similar, but also energetically, just to get a little vibey for a moment, there is something that happens in a circle in which the energy becomes larger and softer and more ample than is possible to feel alone. I think with a lot of practice, and I don't want to limit what is possible for individuals, but there is certainly something that expedites the process of connecting with the greater, however one might imagine that. that happens in a group of people, and that can be an unspoken feeling rather than even like the, oh, you are having the same experience as me and I'm telling you with my words. It's just the presence of others that can feel very healing. Well, I'm thinking about my work personally, and then I'm thinking about my work as part of the collective. And the first image that comes into my mind is actually one of the last circles that we held at Bartram's Garden in Philadelphia with a group of healers of different ages and backgrounds, trainings. And we began by offering a land acknowledgement. And to offer that, we looked at the history of Bartram's Garden on the website. We talked to the people who run Sankofa Farm, and we asked what land acknowledgement they use. And then Fulami offered a land acknowledgement from the heart, from her experience and understanding of how African people were enslaved in Philadelphia and worked the land that we were sitting on. And I think that, and as I was sitting there, I was also thinking about legacies of whiteness in Philadelphia, and what it means, even for myself, to be somebody not born in Philadelphia, raised partly in a pretty white suburb, and to be a visitor to this place, who can be respectful and learn about the history, and also be really aware of the embodied histories that I'm bringing and the tendencies that I might be bringing into a space, negative and positive. So I think that a sense of Philadelphia history, a sense of colonial history, a sense of familial history, part of doing this project has allowed me to see the healing lineages in my own family and really think about them in new ways. And I think maybe just an awareness or an awakeness to feeling echoes from the past in my body and in my relationships and being curious about them. Wow, it feels like an emotional question right now, I think this is a time when we're all having a really hard time thinking about the future. I work with young people as part of my work, and I think grapple a lot with what the future holds. And I think that, a medicine for me over the last few years has certainly been in my relationship with Fulami, and in the fact that when we meet up to talk, we go to the woods. And in that, there is a staying in relationship with one another, and there's staying in relationship with the natural world. And there's an experience of once you do that, it is really hard to be numb. And I'm totally gonna cry. And I think so much of our work is how to stay connected with ourselves in a time when it's so hard. And there's so much trauma, and there are histories of trauma which make it feel unsafe to feel. But also the change has to come from feeling and from being connected with one another and being able to feel the good things too. And I think what part of the future we're envisioning is one in which a greater collective awareness of that need for connectedness really opens into more softness with each other, into systems that are kinder, into investment into people, into healing, and that when we really treat our pain, that we begin to reawaken our connection with the natural world and heal the imbalance that we're experiencing and I think all grieving for right now. My first memory or experience of community care is actually my grandparents and their Czech immigrant community in upstate New York. I don't know how they did this, but they somehow just like found all of the Czech people in upstate New York, like from really far away. People would come to these big meals and be together. And I don't think I knew what it was when I was seeing it, but my grandparents fled in 1970 and didn't get to see their parents before they died and didn't get to go home for a really long time. And that was an experience that was shared by a lot of the people who were there. And I think what was happening was community care for that pain of separation. And those people really stayed in each other's lives, family lives, happy events, sad events. Both of my grandparents have passed on, and I'm still in touch with some of the folks that I met as a little kid there, trying to avoid eating the egg salad. And I think that is one of the places where I learned what it means to show up, even when you're busy or tired or have a lot going on, because that investment really matters over time. I had the enormous privilege of getting to work at the Village of Arts and Humanities in North Philadelphia for 7 years. And that was a question that we really grappled with there a lot, because I think, especially in recent years, artists have become increasingly tasked with addressing like holes in the social safety net, where it's like, yeah, we don't have money for that, but what if we do this art project? And send artists in to work with this challenge and like make it look nicer and like empower people. Not to be shady. I mean, that's not even shade, that's just direct criticism. So I think that sometimes and recently art has been asked to look like change or like perform change in a way that is not what art is. Like, also artists, just pay them to go make art. Like, art is awesome for its own sake. And I've also, in Philadelphia, just gotten to work with the most amazing genius people who, like Arthur Hall, who founded the Ile Ife Black Humanitarian Center, a predecessor to the Village of Arts and Humanities under Lillian, like, who found ways that art making opens spaces for people to connect with themselves and with each other and with purpose and with power, and then like express that power, embody it, have a lived experience of it that is transformational and that can sustain people through the really difficult shit that needs to change, and that can attract eyeballs and can attract money and can send out the messages to attract other people that can help make change happen. So I think that in my own experience, personally, the way that I see it working is art making creates a different space internally and in a group that allows us to drop down into something that feels very true. And then from that place to have a different conversation than the one we often have when we're stuck in trauma, when we're stuck in exhaustion about political cycles. And from that place to honor ourselves and each other and to imagine a different possibility.